On this week's episode, we're headed to Normal, Illinois to visit with one of the premier coaches in the Missouri Valley Conference women's basketball. Since arriving at Illinois State in 2017, Coach Kristen Gillespie has steadily rebuilt one of the Valley's proudest programs. Under her leadership, the Redbirds have captured a Missouri Valley Conference regular season championship, earned 5 consecutive postseason appearances, advanced to the WNIT Fab Four, and produced some of the most exciting offensive basketball in program history. But Coach Gillespie's journey began long before Normal as a point guard for NC State under legendary coach Coach Yow. Through building programs at every level of basketball, she's developed a philosophy centered on relationships, player development, and building championship culture. Today, we'll talk about that journey, how this year's Redbird roster is coming together, and preparing for a new era of March Madness. Coach Gillespie, welcome to Deep in the Valley.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Good deal. So we always kind of like to start at the beginning, Coach, and kind of look back because every coach has quite a unique journey, right, and story. And you grew up in a basketball family with your father and grandfather were both coaches, and the game has really been woven into your life from an early age. So, talk a little bit about kind of your earliest memories around the game and how maybe they helped you grow into the student athlete that you desired to compete at the next level.
Yeah, from the point that I can remember, I was always going to basketball practices and in games. One of my favorite movies is Remember the Titans. And in that, I was the little girl, not the one that was playing with the dolls. And I knew all the players. I knew the offense. I have really cringy moments where I remember I would do conditioning, in kindergarten and first grade. I'd go run sprints with the guys. And my dad was a boys high school coach, and he worked his way up to finally become a Division I head coach. But oh my gosh, who I feel most sorry for is my mother. She put up with my brother and I and my dad. And my grandfather, he coached for 54 years, a variety of sports. So I just thought that was the norm. I thought everyone kind of grew up going on bus rides and going into gyms. And the older I got, I think I really appreciated what a unique experience that was. And I knew from an early age that I fell in love with the game of basketball. I fell in love with just the work to become great. I wasn't the most athletic or maybe the most talented, but man, I love the work. And I think I've carried that over into my coaching with my grandfather as a role model, my father, Coach Yow at NC State. I've been so blessed with just salt of the earth, just do it for the right reasons, all relationship-based coaches. And I think that's why I've been able to have some success as a head coach here at Illinois State.
You're in high school, you start to get interest from multiple programs. Walk us through maybe what the recruiting process was like, who was on your final list, and then ultimately why NC State, maybe what made Raleigh feel like home, and why was it the right place for you academically, personally, and athletically?
I tell you what, recruiting was much different than it is now. I come from an era that AAU tournaments looked really different. There was only a couple every year, and I grew up in Joliet, Illinois, but then we moved to Florida when my freshman year of high school. So Florida AAU, you had to make Team Florida. That was the premier AAU team. So I made it. It was for juniors and seniors. So I made it my junior and senior year. And that's when my recruiting really picked up playing. We played 2 tournaments where these kids nowadays play 22 tournaments. We only played 2. And I played for a really good high school team in McClay High School in Tallahassee. And it was fun. It was all that hard work that I put into it. Our players, I don't like to brag. I was a Kodak All-American, which in today's age, that's like a McDonald's All-American. I was a top 20 player in the country. So I had my pick of where I could go. Interesting thing, a lot of people don't know about this is being in Tallahassee, it was really important to me. I wanted to stay close to home because my dad was coaching at Tallahassee Community College at the time, and I wanted him to be able to see my games. So it was Georgia, Auburn, and I still had DePaul in there. My dad played at DePaul with Doug Bruno. My grandfather played at DePaul. I would have been the first third generation. Yes, that was tough to say no to Coach Bruno. We grew up going on family vacations. My dad coached 4 of the 6 Bruno boys. It was a mess when I told him no, but I went to Auburn my freshman year. They were coming off back-to-back Final Fours. Had a great time at Auburn, did really well. I started as a freshman, but ultimately it wasn't for me for a variety of reasons. So I was one of those atypical transfers back then. It didn't happen very often. So the second time around, it came down to NC State and Duke. And both of those programs were, NC State had a little bit more tradition at that time. Duke was on the cusp of really making their run where they went on, I think, like 4 Final Fours with Gail Guest, of course. Ultimately, I chose NC State. My cousin, Terry Gannon, played for Coach V. He was the shooter, 24 on the 83 team. I wore 24 at NC State. It's funny how it goes, because when I was coming out of high school, NC State didn't have a need for, I was a point guard. They had a point guard at the time. And then just so happens a year later, some things happened and they had a need for me. And I went on campus and I was just mesmerized by Coach Yow. And that was not a knock to Duke. I love Duke, but I was a blue collar Midwest kid. Duke, I just felt out of place, like a fish out of water a little bit. And I fell in love with Coach Yow. I actually committed before I even left campus, which unbeknownst to my parents, I told them I'd come home and we'd talk about it. I couldn't tell her no. There was something special, and it was all her, but it was the history. My cousin had told me so much. I remember growing up watching those games of him playing on those teams with Coach V, and I don't know, it just felt right.
Yeah, you end up having a little bit of a successful run there at NC State.
Yeah.
You're on the Final Four team with Coach Yow. And what was it like learning from someone who became one of the most respected figures in the women's basketball history?
Every day it was a life lesson. And that was the neat part about it. She just had a way, you didn't even know it, but you were learning about the person you wanted to become. She was a woman of great faith. And that was the first time I had been around. My role models were guys. My dad, he came from the Bobby Knight era a little bit. He'd always tell me to leave the gym because he had to yell. I could hear what he was saying between the door, wasn't keeping me from hearing what he was saying. But Coach Yow's style was completely different. I never heard her curse, which I was like, oh, this is different from what I grew up around. But she had that magical way that when she talked to you, you felt like you were the only person in the gym. You were the only person in the room. She got the very most out of our team. We were talented, but man, we overachieved a little bit too. She always knew what button to push, what fable to tell to get us back on track. And there wasn't a player that wouldn't run through a wall for her. And that was just the most special part of I became the woman that I was supposed to be during my years at NC State. I maxed out my talent basketball-wise, but most importantly, I started to see, hey, this is the type of human being I want to become. I want to emulate a lot of the characteristics that Coach Yow has.
Yeah, Coach Yow influenced so many coaches. As we've spoken to head coaches, they've all talked about their influences, but also the importance of building your own program, right? And letting your own personality shine through. But when you think about your program today, are there places where you see Coach Yow's influence? And what are some of the things that you have done to make it your own and build your own championship culture?
Yeah, I think every program's probably going to tell you their culture is relationship based. And we define that. My job is to serve our players. My job is to help them become 17, 18-year-old young women into strong, independent 22, 23-year-olds when they leave here. So we try to lead with love. It's tough love some days. It's a shoulder to cry on. That is where I think, and I'm nowhere close to being as good as Coach Yow was at it, but that's what I really, every day, when I get into situations, how would Coach Yow react to this? What would she say in this moment? I am probably a little bit more fiery than Coach Yow. I would love to say that I have never cursed. You can ask any of our players, they'll laugh at you. Don't curse at them, but I get going. I'm very much my father's daughter too, cut from that cloth there. Coach Yow would sit during games. My staff doesn't even leave. They're like, why are we even going to leave a chair? Just don't even worry about Coach. I wear my passion, my emotions on my sleeve, which is a good thing. It can be a bad thing at times. If you talk to some of the officials, I don't know, but I feel like I am equal parts of all three of my mentors, of my grandpa, Gordy, my dad, Mike, and Coach Yow. But the fun thing, the older I get, I think since becoming a mother, it's kind of changed me a little. I have a unique, now someone's going to be coaching my kids one day. So that's a unique element of how I approach things too. But I think you'll see a little of everything. But I get the best of each person I've been around.
Yeah, position, playing point guard. Most point guards are always described as have another coach on the floor. So has playing that position shaped the way you coach today?
Yes, I took great pride. I always wanted to be an extension of Coach Yow. like I said, I don't know how I played in the ACC. I was not very athletic. I was a 5'10", unathletic point guard running around trying to just keep my head above water. But I think what separated me from maybe some of my peers is just, I feel like I have a really good knowledge of the game. I was a student of the game. I think that's from growing up around the game. Our dinner time conversations was always about basketball between my brother and my dad. Once again, my poor mother had to suffer through all this, but I always wanted to be the person that when I came off the floor at NC State, you would tell a difference. And it wasn't the scoring. It was just how the game flowed. And to me, that's really important. And I'm probably the hardest on our point guards. If you can talk to them, they'll probably tell you I demand a lot because you're the quarterback. You make us run. And it's really important that we have a great relationship, my point guard and myself. But I think you are asked a lot. You have to know what defense we're in. You have to know offensively. We run a lot of sets at Illinois State. We're still set driven. We do have emotion, but not only what you need to do, what the other four people on the floor, like where do those guys have to do? Where do you need to get the ball? Who needs the ball? How do they need to get the ball? And I think teams with great point guards are teams that are usually pretty successful.
So you've coached at every level, D3, D2, assistant positions, high school, before becoming the head coach at Illinois State. Now that you've been leading a D1 program for multiple years, what lessons did you carry forward from all those other experiences into leading the Redbird program?
This is so interesting you just asked this. About a half hour, I got off a phone call with a recruit, and she asked me the same question. I thought it was an unbelievable question because some kids they don't ask questions, or it's what style of play do you play fast or what? But I was like, oh my gosh, great question. So this is really fresh in my mind. I have such a unique background. I coached at NC State, Santa Barbara, UCF, like a high-level Division I assistant. But I also was a head coach at a high school for 2 years for a Division III, Division II. I'm really proud that I feel like I earned everything I got. I literally worked myself up the head coaching ladder, but at the D3 at the high school level, you have a part-time assistant. I am so blessed. I have, 5 assistant coaches. I have support staff. I have a room full of GAs to my left over there. I'm not sure if they're working. They're having a good time. They might be on the Wii right now. I don't know what summer. It's a little more relaxed. I have all this support, which is awesome. But I also very much remember when I did the laundry and I ordered all the food and I was the one that brought the balls out and swept the floor. And I'm really proud of that. Like, I think I am a very good, I'm not good at a lot of things, but I think the way I role model servant leadership, if you travel with us, I'm the first one off, not to go in the hotel, but I'm opening the bus and I'm getting the luggage out for our players. I help serve. My favorite thing to do is when we go to restaurants, we pre-order. I love serving the food. I don't know. It's just fun. I'm always helping the waitresses. I don't know. I just think, yes, I have a dream job and I've always wanted to be a Division I head coach, but I'm still the same high school coach at Maclay or Benedictine University, where I don't take myself that serious. At Benedictine, there's 17 sports for one gym. We would have practice at 5:30 in the morning, 9:30 at night. The lacrosse team would be on the other side. There'll be lacrosse balls being thrown under the track team is running. You really can't take yourself that serious when you're sharing a small space with 4 other teams. And I don't know. We are not entitled here. That is, our players know, our staff knows there's nothing that I won't do and there's nothing that they won't do to serve our players.
Yeah, we're going to take you back just a couple of years again. So you developed a calling card for rebuilding programs across all levels. Then Illinois State calls with the opportunity to become the head coach. So it's been several years, but what was going through your mind at that point in time, and what excited you about the Redbird job?
Yeah, it's funny because when I got the Lewis job, that would have been 12 years ago, I thought that was my dream job. And I've never had a dream job. My grandfather always told myself, and Scott Gillespie, who is my cousin, is on my staff, has been my associate head for 5 years. He's been with me the whole time. Instilled, the job you have is the greatest job. Be where your feet are. Before, that was a catchy phrase in chop wood, carry what, like Grandpa would always tell us, like, the job you have is the greatest job. And I really believe that. And the cool thing about getting the Lewis job is I got that job late. It opened up late. It opened in like July. And my grandfather passed away in February of that same year. And I'll go to my grave. He had a hand in it. And every day I walked into the gym, there is a glass case with all his achievements. And I would say hi to, good morning, Grandpa. It was such a special place. The baseball field's named after him. So I thought, man, this is the place I want to be. There's so much family history. It's close to Joliet, all my cousins, my relatives, and I had a great time. In 2 years, we had tremendous success, and Illinois State came open. And I didn't think I had a chance. Once again, I don't take myself that serious. I think I'm still just a high school coach, D3 coach, D2 coach. Someone said, hey, you should throw your name. I don't have an agent. I'm like, throw your name in the ring. And I said, oh, okay. So I just sent an email, didn't think I'd hear back. And Leanna Bordner, who's still here as our chief operating officer, called me up and had a conversation, which led to another one, led to a very secretive. I felt like I was at Connect. No one knew we were on campus. I was like, my God, this is big time. Geez. I was tucked away in a secret spot all day, and thank the Lord I did well enough that her and Larry Lyons, the athletic director at the time, chose me to lead. And Illinois State, you grow up, you want to play at Redbird. It was Redbird Arena then. As a girls player, that's where the state tournament is. There's so much history with what Jill Hutchison did and Robin pitched and Stephanie Glantz. Stephanie Glantz was the coach, my assistant at NC State, who was here 2 coaches before I got there. So I was so well versed in the phenomenal history of ISU basketball and women's sports. I thought it was a no-brainer to at least attempt. And I'll never forget when Larry called me. I said yes before he even told me. I did not play it cool. For any young coaches, please let them get it out that you have the job. Maybe they'll have a little negotiation. No, there was no negotiating wiggle. He offered, I said yes before. I think I was in the car driving down there before we even got off the phone. But it's been a dream come true ever since. And I think we have a lot of work still to do here, but it's a heck of a place to work.
So when you arrived in Normal, you start to develop a list of priorities. What needed to be addressed first to establish the culture that you were looking to build?
Staffing, that's the biggest thing. You got to surround yourself with the right people. And I was so blessed. I hit home runs with our staff. Scott's still here. So he was one of the original band members that are still with me, so to speak. But I was fortunate to hire a really good staff that our values really aligned. And then it was recruiting. I don't care what you know if you don't have players to do it. And we got really fortunate. Our first recruit was a young lady by the name of Simone Goods. She was a JUCO All-American that just weirdly, she was still available. One of her best friend's boyfriend happened to go to Lewis. He loved me. It was like the recruiting stars aligned for me. We got her. We got a freshman point guard that decommitted late. It was just really unique. That first year it was a struggle. We won 2 games. Now think about this, fellas. This is going to be a feat. We won 2 league games without scoring 40 points. That's how it was not high level basketball, but we guarded, we rebounded, I was really proud. That was probably, we still talk about to this day, might have been one of our better coaching jobs. And just, we got everything out of that team. And I know 14 wins doesn't sound like a lot, but if you think about it, in the 4 years prior, 20 games was won over 4 years. So we were really proud. And then we just sold kids on a dream and, hey, you come here, this could happen. And the really cool thing is that first freshman class, that 18-19, the 2018 class that arrived on campus, each kid got to go to the NCAA tournament their senior year. We won, and that's what we sold them on. And that was part of that, just getting kids to believe. They weren't the highest rated recruits, but man, they had great attitudes. They worked, and that's what this program has been built on. We're a blue collar. We're going to outwork you. We live in the gym. Our skill development is huge, and that's what's done it for us.
Yeah, so recruiting your first year is quite a bit different than what recruiting is right now, and having to manage the balance between retention of current roster, freshman recruiting, and then transfer portal and things like that. How tough is it to create a roster that can be successful in the Valley and also on the national level right now?
I think sustaining success at the mid-major level is the hardest thing to do. And I think it was hard before all the madness of the portal and rev share. It's tough. It has become even harder now. I think it goes back to surrounding yourself with the right staff that understand what your culture is, what your core values are, what we need in players, and then players that are willing to stay. We've lost kids in the portal. We have 2 kids playing in the SEC. We have a kid playing in the ACC and the Big 12. How can I say no to that? How can I, as a coach, I'd be talking out of both sides of my mouth if I didn't say I want what's best for you. Yeah, do I think me and our program? Yeah, but I can't fault a kid of wanting to move up. So it's what we've done a great job is identifying players that maybe are a little overlooked, or we've had a ton of success with Division II and Division III kids that maybe I think it's becoming a little bit more norm, and I think we had something to do with that. 3 years ago, we got Paige Robinson from D2. She's our first ever WNBA draft pick. 2 years ago, we had Elise Knutson, who was an all-league player, Division III kid. We have a Division II kid on our roster right now that's going to surprise a lot of people. So it's like, can you find those kids that maybe have fallen through the crack? And then the skill development pieces, and we in our recruiting, we do our homework. Yes, it's easy to see a talented kid, but do they like to work? Are they in the gym? Do they want to max out what their talent? And we have done a great job of finding those kids that not only say it, but they get here and they do it.
Yeah, so now you're in the summer and you're meshing all of these pieces together right now, and how the summer workouts have gone and some of the returners and some of the new players that Redbird fans should be excited about.
Yeah, we have 7 new faces in the gym, but that's kind of the norm. We have 4 freshmen and 3 transfers. So our summer, it's like twofold. Our biggest goal is to build those bonds, and they have to happen organically. Of course, we do some team building stuff, but our challenge to our returners is how much time can we spend with each other? How can you get to know the 7 newcomers that, because you have to build trust. If you're going to hold that line and hold our standard on the court, I can't get on someone if I don't have a relationship. It's not going to work. So that has been a huge point of emphasis. And I think our team has done a pretty good job. In June, we do a ton of skill development stuff. We still do it now, but it was more skill development of piecing our offense together. Now we're doing more team workouts, which have been really good. I think we have a chance. I like this group. We got to stay healthy, but I know everyone is cautiously optimistic right now, but I do. There's something about this group I really like. I think our staff has put together an unbelievable roster. As far as returners, Trista Feda really came on. She was our point guard. She's going to be a junior. She set the single season assist record, which she shattered Christy Cerrone's record. So ISU fan, she's in her jersey's hanging up in SEFQ Arena. That's pretty heck of a feat. And she played spot minutes her freshman year behind a 6-year point guard. So she's looking really good. Nevaeh Thomas is probably on paper our most heralded returner, but she only played 3 games last year. She at Loyola dove for a loose ball and girl fell on it and snapped her humerus. So when I got out there, her arm was actually in the other direction. She had emergency surgery that night in Chicago. If we had her, we had a heck of a year last year. I think we could even have been better. Those 2 kids are set. We had 2 guards, Grace Nelson and Jaden Pratt, who started as freshmen, who are set to have really big years. And some of our newcomers, our new faces, our freshman class, we had a top 60 ESPN kid in the country, our highest ever rated kid in Daniela Porco. She's legit. She's the real deal. Like the Redbird fans are going to love watching her play. But the coolest thing about Daniela is you come in, your ESPN top, I think she was her 57 or 58. You would never know. She's the sweetest kid. She's got a smile on her face. There's nothing about her that, hey, I'm the man, or I've loved that. We have a couple other freshmen that are really playing well. And then our transfers, we got a kid out of Miss Basketball from Indiana a couple of years ago, Chloe Spreen. She went to Alabama. She went to Indiana and didn't have a ton of success. But I think this is where she's going to really shine. She's a different type of athlete than we have. And I talked about the Division II kid, Ella Mason, coming from Michigan Tech. She can score. I don't know how she does it. I don't know how our staff does it. We find kids that just know how to put the ball in the basket, and she's one of them for us. And there's a lot of others, but I don't want to, I'll miss someone, and I don't want to feel bad, but this is going to be our team you always think you're going to have depth, but I think we could play quite a few kids where there's not a drop off. There's going to be, and we're going to have different lineups. We can play small, we can play big. It's going to be fun.
So last season, your team became one of the nation's most efficient offensive teams, shooting nearly 49% from the field and over 38% from 3. But what kind of work goes into the summer workouts to accomplish that level of success?
Yeah, that's all our assistant coaches. They get all the credit. We got basketball junkies on our staff. And once again, you got to marry that with basketball junkie players. And these kids just want to be great. They want to get in the gym. They want to work on their game. They're watching film. What I love, they'll say, hey, we always ask, who do you model your game? The cool thing is now WNBA is becoming more prevalent. So our players, it's not Steph Curry. It might be Kelsey Plum. There's a female because sometimes it's hard to equate. Okay, you watch, you're not LeBron. Sorry, there's nothing but there's things that we can do. So we've been really intentional of adding some different things, and we want our players to have a say in their development. They will meet and, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. Of course, we have our ideas, but we have found that if they have a seat at the table and they have a say in their plan, they're more apt. They're more eager to do it. It's just not me force feeding, hey, you got to work on this, or Scott saying this, or Manny. It's just, we spend a lot of time shooting the ball too. That's really important, that in the off season, just whether it's catch and shoot or shots within your offense, we put a premium on that. And it also goes to your passing. To be an efficient offensive team, the passing is so critical. Right now, not thrilled with our passing, being honest. If you ask our team, we got to be better. We're getting open shots, but can we put the ball, and that is getting your players to understand the importance of, yes, we have guys that can make shots, but it starts with the pass. Can we put the ball where they need it to make a shot? So they get sick of me harping on that stuff, but I think and we do a good job within our offense to put our players in positions to have success. I said, we do run some motion, but we do run a lot of sets. We're that old school hybrid that I'm going to make you guard sets. We're going to ISO kids. We're going to make you choose who you want to guard. And we are also it's not an equal opportunity. It's not a democracy. Sorry, everyone doesn't get to shoot the same shot in our program. If that's what you're looking for, probably not the place to be. Yeah. But we make you earn that here. You'll always be able to earn that role, but you'll know what a good shot and a not so good shot is.
Yeah. So when fans watch your teams in person or on ESPN Plus or wherever they're able to get the games this season, what do you want them to see? And then after they get done watching that team, what do you want them to say about your team?
Yeah, my greatest hope is, and it's one and the same, and this is what we spend a lot of time off the court talking about, is just those intangibles. We have the talent to be really successful. We have the talent to do really well in our league. I believe that. But are we going to be the team that's willing to do the little things, like the gritty things? Are we the first on the floor? Are we the first to point and say, hey, great pass, or pick a player up, chin up? Those things are so critical. In today's day and age, I think players get really inward, but there's pressure. They have to have instant success. We're trying to just push all that stuff out. Are we the team that plays with the most joy? What's our bench look like? It's sometimes hard to see it on TV, but if you come to a game, are we celebrating each other's success? When I come off the floor, am I pouring into my teammates as much as they were pouring into me? And that may sound touchy-feely, but that's who we are. That's the type of program we want to become, because it's tough. This day and age, you get 5 players to play on the floor. Everyone wants to get paid. But at the core of it, this is just a game that you grew up loving to play, and you should play with joy and passion and a love for one another and a love for the name on your jersey. And I think that's why we've had success. We find kids that really buy into that and want to do that, and they want to play hard for me. They want to play hard for our staff, for each other. So hopefully you'll see a team that shares the ball, that has fun, that has a passion. I know fun is a loose term, but they have joy. They're playing the game the right way and celebrating each other.
So you mentioned a lot of qualities there, and those seem to be a lot of the characteristics of maybe how you described yourself.
Yeah, I think our team takes on my personality, especially a couple of them. Like Trista Feda, our point guard, she's tough as nails. She is a competitor through and through. I see a lot of myself in her. And sometimes we butt heads because we're a lot alike too in ways. But I do. I try to set the tone. I tell our staff, we have the standards. We talk about our kids holding the line, but it's really our job to role model what that line should look like. You want 18 to 22-year-olds to be the most energetic in the gym, but they're 18 to 22-year-olds. Maybe they went out the night. I understand. No, same thing. My kid was up all night, but that's not an excuse. We have to role model what we want to be excellent at. We have to be the ones that role model it every single day if we're going to demand that from our players. And I don't know. it goes back to, I still can't believe I'm the head coach at Illinois State, that I'm living out my dream of being a coach, from watching it growing up with my grandpa, my dad, and then Coach Yow. What's there not to be energetic about? What's there not to be passionate? Yeah, I'm a bad loser at times. I understand, but I want our players to experience the highest level. I want every player to understand what it feels like to climb that ladder and cut down a net and see their name on Selection Sunday. So yeah, we're tough during the season and we're tough right now. We're holding that line, but it's all worth it in the end when you see your players have success.
Every coach has players who quietly become the heartbeat of the locker room. And maybe they're not always the most talented player, but maybe they're the glue that keeps the team moving forward. In the last few seasons, did you have a Redbird that would have maybe fit those qualifications, that was the heartbeat of the team?
Easy question. This might be the easiest one. By the name of Addison Martin. She was a transfer 2 years ago, a post player that came to us from Abilene Christian. And Drew Cole on my staff, he had come from Abilene, so he knew Addie. And when he told me she was in the portal, he said, Coach, she's your type of kid. You're going to absolutely love her. I watched a little of her film. I'm like, oh, yeah, her great skill set. He goes, no, you haven't. That's not what I'm talking about. Wait till you talk to her. And from my first conversation with her, number one, it was like the Southern. I felt like I was back at NC State. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. She's from Louisiana. All right. So she's got that Southern drawl. Like I was like, oh, I love this kid already. Every day we talk about she was the standard. Our first open gym, it was June, let's say June 8th. Okay. We're just playing. No big deal. It's their first, we're watching because we're not practicing that week. There's a loose ball. Someone, I don't know, passes deflected. She sprints the length of the floor, dives for the loose ball, saves it. Now it's June 8th in our first open gym. I looked at Drew. I said, yeah, you're right. She is our type of kid. Just gritty, as blue collar as they come. Never cared about scoring. She was a really good scorer, but just she guarded 1 through 5. She guarded post players. She guarded Hallie Polk for Murray State. Like she didn't care. She just wanted to win. And it's tough because we don't have her. Now she's next door. She's a GA for us because I can't imagine next year when she leaves us. It's going to be a very sad day for me. But my job, I just told there's some younger players. I see a lot of those qualities. I said, Addie, your job is you got to recreate yourself in one of these young players because we need that leadership to carry on.
Yeah. I always like to ask this too. After playing for Kristen Gillespie, what do you want your players to take away as they transition into life after college?
I hope they know that I am the person that they can call good or bad when anything happens in their lives. And that's probably been the greatest compliments that I have gotten over the last, I don't know, however many years. I've been a head coach for a while now. It's always fun when you get the call that, hey, I just got engaged or I'm pregnant. But equally is when you get the call where someone just passed away and you're the first person they call. And that's when you know that you've done something right, that it was so much more than just winning games. And it is hard sometimes when you're in it, like, because everyone wants to play. And when you don't play, who's the bad guy? It's this guy you're looking at right now. It's me. But it's just trying to build those relationships off the court where I don't really care if what you do here. I want us to be successful, but your worth in my life is so much more. Like, how do you treat my kids? Like, how are you in the classroom? What are the little kids that come to that's what it's about to me. So I just hope they think, man, KG was a little crazy. They'll have some funny stories when they get together and have a few cold ones and reminisce. But man, she loved us and she cared. And some of those days I may not have always noticed that was caring, but looking back, the older I get, the more I understand she loved us doing that. It wasn't always maybe fun or she was on one that day. No, the standard wasn't being held. So now when they get into their jobs, they'll hold that line. Hopefully, a little side note too, like hopefully they're going to think back and say, this is probably the most important. I should have led with this. Damn, she was a good mom. And that's the most important because my kids are around all the time. My kids are interwoven into my profession. And I have a job that takes a lot of my time. But my greatest hope is that Beckett and Emerson, when they get older, say their mama showed up for them. Yes, she had a high pressure job, but she was there. And I hope my players think, man, that was crazy because Coach was so present in our lives, but she was also really present in Beck and Emmy's life. So that's every day that's my mental check. Did I do right by our team and did I do right by my kids? And they're one and the same sometimes, but it's really important to me.
I've got a daughter named Emerson too. And so is she wildly independent?
Oh my God, yes.
That must be the name then.
Yeah, she's 5 going on 25. It's a wild. But she's the best. Both. But Emerson, she's a unique kid.
Talk a little bit about the scheduling wise, and does become one of the most fascinating parts, whether it's in the men's game or the women's game, and how they construct that non-conference schedule. And walk us through the approach on building a non-conference schedule, and a little bit about the change this year, kind of being shorted a week because of the changes with Arch Madness. But any important or games in the non-conference schedule that you're excited about and that you can talk about?
Yeah, we always try to build our schedule where we are playing games that on paper, if we win, are going to look really good on a resume. Or even a loss, it's still going to be a good loss. And it is tricky because we're getting better in that mid-major. So it's like trying to find teams that will want to play you, and that will want to come to. We have a great atmosphere here in Bloomington. Our fans are phenomenal. We struggle getting home games. So that makes it challenging. But this year we've had some success. So we always want a healthy balance of going on the road and playing really tough opponents, whether they're Big Ten opponents, where, all right, we may not come out on top, but man, this is really going to prepare us for Valley play. I thought last year going to Illinois was a hell of a game. We lost, I think, by 6. We were winning that time. It was a back and forth. It helped us prepare for what we were going to see. So in the back of our minds is, if all goes well, if we stay healthy and we become the team we think we can become, could these be games that are going to help our net? And then if we do well in the Valley, our goal in the Valley, we want to have more than one team. Could we be in that conversation with our net? So, but it's tough because now with the portal, like, you think you're playing a certain team and then you're like, oh my God, they're either way better than you thought they were going to be or not as good. And you don't know. Our schedule has been done for a couple months and we didn't quite know what our roster was going to be. So there is a little nerve wracking, but I think this year, this is our toughest schedule. We go to Indiana, we go to Northwestern, we go to Indiana Northwestern, we go to Dayton, we go to St. Louis, we host Loyola, we host South Dakota State, which win their league, we host Green Bay, who won the Horizon, we go to Harvard. So it will be good. We'll have some really tough road games, we'll have some really tough home games. But I think it's going to be a healthy balance, but it's really condensed because now we're going to play 2 league games that last week in December before Christmas break. So it was a weird juggling balance because you're still trying to figure things out in November, but you're like, holy smokes, we got 9 games in 3. It's the margin of error. And those are the games you got to win. And that's the tough thing. You're still 7 new guys. We might still be figuring out, but hell, we got to be, when we go to Indiana, we better be ready to go, or it's going to be interesting.
So this season marks the beginning of a new chapter in Missouri Valley Women's Conference Basketball Championships. They moved to St. Louis under the same Arch Madness brand. What excites you the most about that opportunity?
I just think having it in one spot is going to be awesome. We are really fortunate with our fan base that they traveled wherever. In our tournament, it was like a caravan. It was moving spot to spot, but we still did really well, which was awesome. I don't know if I'm going to love it when the other schools have just as many fans, but from our standpoint, it was cool. But every team, you want to play in front of people. You want to play in front of your fans. And I think sometimes financially it's a tough ask to ask a family of 4 to, hey, go to St. Louis and spend 4 days. And then in 4 or 5 days later, I need you to go to Evansville or Moline and do the same for the women. So I think sometimes your fans get torn a little bit. And naturally, for whatever reason, if they're going to spend money, maybe, hey, we've always gone to Arch Madness. It's been a family tradition. We're going to go there. So I think the crossover is going to be awesome of the fan base. I just think the excitement, like being in the same city as the men, like now it just adds that. The scheduling is going to be unique with the top 2. I hope and pray we're one of those top 2. You always want to be a top 2, but I like what they're doing. We're really trying to protect those. It's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Is it an advantage, or is a 3-4 that has a game under their belt? Do they have less pressure? Are they playing a little bit more loose than the 1 and 2 that's been sitting there twiddling their fingers for a couple of days? I don't know. I think it's going to be really positive, and I'm excited. And you can always nitpick some things, but that's life. It's how you approach things, and the scheduling, is it great? I don't know, but we're all in, and we're going to make the very best of it.
Yeah, I know prestige and maybe image doesn't get you on the NCAA tournament bracket, but do you think that maybe by being able to be moved up into that first weekend can help the Valley women's tournament as far as prestige and notoriety when the smaller conferences are on the back end?
Without a doubt, I do, because now you're in those conversations, like when ESPN's given the rundown of hey, in the Valley championship game, I think a lot of eyes of the committee and of writers and the powers to be of women's basketball, a lot of eyes are on that weekend in that week leaking up. So now we join that party, so to speak, which I think is awesome. The other great thing I think is it's always tough. And we did this a couple of years ago. The championship game ends at 3:00. And we were fortunate because it was in Moline that year. We enjoyed it, but I don't even think our kids showered. We got on the bus. We flew down 74. They had an awesome party in SEFCU Arena but you don't really get to enjoy it. Now you're trying to race back for Selection Sunday. And then all of a sudden you're traveling the next day and it's wild. So I love that you get a week to kind of, let's be real, enjoy it. This is what you've worked your whole life for. The kids, this is their dream come true. And then you get to kind of recover. Just think about it like in the past, you've just played 3 games in 3 days. You had to win Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And now you get Monday, you're trying to figure out travel. Your kids are not sleeping because they just celebrated that they won, rightfully as they should. And now you're playing Wednesday or Thursday. There's no way you're putting yourself in the best spot to be successful.
I like that. So, Coach, hey, we like to wrap up episodes with a little rapid fire.
All right.
We would tell you they're probably the easiest questions, but some coaches have struggled. I will say that. But just the first thing that comes to your mind.
All right. So the first one is favorite Valley arena besides SEFCU.
I would say Belmont.
All right. Most challenging player that you've had to prep for in a scout in the Valley.
Oh, man. Hallie Polk from Murray. Unbelievable.
Favorite thing about playing in SEFCU Arena?
Our crowd, our fans.
Do you have a game day go-to beverage of choice or like maybe a caffeine delivery system?
I'm a big Diet Dr. Pepper fan. So that's my go-to.
Absolutely.
Illinois State player that doesn't get enough attention.
Trista Feda.
Do you have a passage or a quote that you love to share that maybe your staff or your players be like, oh yeah, that's something Coach always says?
Oh, there's a lot of them. Probably you're not tired. I yell that all the time. You're not tired. Let's go.
And the last one, that if the two of us are coming to Bloomington Normal to watch a game, where are you going to send us for a pregame meal? And at that location, do you have a go-to meal?
Wow, that is a tough one because you're going to get me in trouble here because I have a lot of post-game. You're going to come to my house for a cold beverage. I'll tell you that. Pre-game meal, I would say, this is tough. I'm not a big eater before games, so I would say I'd go Ancho and Agave, a little Mexican restaurant out by our house. Pretty good spot.
Do you have a go-to order there?
I'm a big fan of tacos. They got the Nashville hot chicken taco is really good. Yeah, they have some good tacos.
I would definitely do that. But Coach, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Any final words for the Redbird fans before we let you go?
No, I just want to, anyone that's listening, I just want to thank everyone. Like I said, I feel like I am the luckiest coach alive to be coaching here. It's because the people that I surround myself with, our fans. I think they're the best in the Valley, and just excited about this season. So can't wait to see everyone in a couple months.
We really appreciate you sharing your story with us and talking a little bit about the Redbirds here in the summer. We're wishing you guys the very best, with the exception of when you play Northern Iowa, because both Brian and I are UNI grads, right?
I know. I know. I was trying to, like, that arena one was hard because that was a good question. I lumped Belmont in there because I love going to Nashville. It's a really cool spot. So
that's fair. But so that's another episode of Deep in the Valley. We appreciate all the listeners spending a part of your week with us talking Missouri Valley Conference basketball. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and follow along as we cover everything happening in the Valley all year long, from Cedar Falls to Des Moines, Nashville to Normal, Carbondale to Chicago. We'll be here every week. For Brian Duttler, I'm Chris Bowser. We'll see you next time, Deep in the Valley.